Welcome back to our channel, GH Fam. Today is a beautiful day to dive into the absolute madness that Port Charles is serving us. Grab your coffee and settle in, because we have so much to unpack about this incredible week of episodes. Let's get right into it. I was literally screaming at my screen with pure, unadulterated joy during that scene in sunny Corinth. The sheer relief that washed over me when Lulu finally dropped the bomb about Ross Cullum's shooting was indescribable. When she looked Sunny dead in the eye and said, "Jason didn't shoot Director Cullum on the pier that night," I felt like a massive weight had been lifted off the entire canvas. For weeks, we have watched the secret rot away at Rocco Falconeri, and seeing Lulu step up to protect her son by trusting Sunny, with the truth is, in my opinion, a masterclass in character growth. I feel so incredibly relieved by that scene because, to me, it finally proved that Lulu is prioritizing her family's mental survival over the fear of the law. She knows Sunny is the only person who can truly understand the burden of taking a life, and watching her hand that burden over to him made me feel a profound sense of respect for her evolution as a mother. I think the writers absolutely nailed the follow-up to that revelation. When Sunny pulls his grandson Rocco aside for a real heart-to-heart later in the week, the emotional gravity of the room is just... I know a lot of people in the fandom are saying this storyline is dragging, or complaining that a mob boss has no right to give moral advice to a teenager, but I actually think this slow burn is exactly what is needed. I feel like this is the best they have written Sunny in years, because he isn't yelling or throwing barware. He is speaking to Rocco from a place of deep, agonizing experience. The way I interpret it, Sunny looking at his grandson and trying to help him process the trauma of pulling that trigger is a beautifully tragic, full-circle moment. I love the way the lighting in that scene felt heavy and shadowed, perfectly mirroring the darkness Rocco is trying to navigate. It made me feel so deeply connected to their shared Corinthos legacy. Moving across town, we absolutely have to talk about Carly and Valentine. I am entirely obsessed with the tension radiating from Carly's kitchen. When Carly tripped over Jack Brennan's missing black box, the exact evidence Willow and Nina need buried, sitting right there in plain sight, my jaw hit the floor. I feel so incredibly tense watching Carly process this discovery, because it anchors her entire internal conflict to a physical object. She is shaken, and she makes the massive decision to keep this a secret from Valentine. I genuinely think we are missing the point if we just label Carly a hypocrite for hiding things while demanding honesty. The way I see it, Carly keeping her first secret from Valentine is a brilliant defense mechanism. She has watched him operate, she knows how he stores information like currency, and holding back what she knows about that briefcase makes me feel like she is finally reclaiming her power in this scorching, dangerous romance. Valentine standing his ground and refusing to budge on his own secrets only makes this dynamic more delicious. I believe Valentine truly thinks that black case belonged to Ross Cullum, and his plan to present it to the WSB in exchange for unfrozen funds is classic Cassadine strategy. But the tragic irony that he is actually holding Brennan's leverage over Willow and Nina gives me absolute chill. I feel a deep sense of anticipation watching Valentine lay out his plans, because every confident word he speaks to Carly is built on a foundation of... I love the writer's choice to have him be so fiercely protective of his own agenda, because it makes me feel like the inevitable explosion between him and Carly is going to be the most compelling television we have seen all year. Speaking of impending explosions, Willow Kane is currently living in a state of absolute, unadulterated panic, and I am here for every second of it. When Willow tracks Harrison Chase down at the Quartermain residence and makes the wildly inappropriate ask for him to take a trip with her to Washington, D.C., I felt a profound sense of validation. I feel so incredibly validated by Willow's spiral, because it proves that her guilt and terror are finally breaking her carefully constructed facade. She wants to run, and she wants to use Chase as her escape hatch. The way I interpret it, her unpleasant realization when Chase inevitably has to decline her offer is the exact moment she realizes she is complete. I love the frantic energy she brought to that scene. It made me feel the suffocating weight of the secrets she is keeping about Drew's locked-in syndrome. That feeling of suffocation is only amplified when Elizabeth Baldwin directly challenges Willow at General Hospital. I think having Elizabeth be the one to push for Drew Kane to get expanded communication tools is a stroke of absolute genius. Elizabeth is approaching this purely as a dedicated medical professional who believes it will be great for Drew, but watching Willow try to deflect Liz from pursuing this made my skin crawl in the best possible way. I feel a deep, visceral anxiety for Willow in these moments, specifically anchored to the way her eyes darted around the room when Liz brought up the communication tool. It proves to me that Willow is operating on borrowed time, and the contrast between Liz's genuine care and Willow's desperate self-preservation is a masterclass in daytime dramatism. While Willow is spiraling, Anna Devane is reclaiming her throne, and I could not be more thrilled. I had actual chills when Anna walked back into the PCPD to officially resume her duties as the way she carries herself, the immediate shift in the precinct's atmosphere, it all makes me feel so incredibly proud of her journey over the last year. But what truly made my heart soar was Anna presenting Harrison Chase with an offer to come back as a detective on the. I feel like this is the absolute best they have written Chase's professional arc, because it redeems him from the disaster of the Tracy Quartermaine arrest. I love the look of shock and overwhelming gratitude on Chase's face when Anna handed him that lifeline. It made me feel like justice was finally being served for a character who has been kicked while he is down for far too long. Of course, Anna's return means Dante Falconeri has to step down from the commissioner role, and the way Dante handles this transition is why he remains one of my favorite characters. Dante's suggestion, catching Lulu completely off guard, and his subsequent decision to put Chase to the test shows exactly what kind of leader he is. I genuinely believe that Dante testing Chase isn't about jealousy. It is about ensuring the integrity of the department they both love. I feel a deep sense of respect for Dante when he interacts with Chase in the squad room, because it anchors his character to a sense of duty that transcends titles. The shifting dynamics at the PCPD right now make me feel incredibly invested in the procedural side of the show again. We also have to discuss the return of Jason and Danny from their father-son getaway. When Friday's episode hits, and Jason makes his rounds in Port Charles to let his loved ones know he has returned, I felt an overwhelming sense of emotional closure. I know some Britt Westbourne fans are furious that Jason seems to be ghosting her, but I actually think this is the most authentic version of Jason we have seen in a decade. I feel like Jason avoiding Britt is the right narrative choice because, in the scene where he looks at Danny on the docks, you can physically see the shift in his priorities. The WSB imprisonment traumatized him, and I believe his renewed commitment to being a father and leaving the mob behind is the only logical path forward. Watching him reunite with Carly and Sonny, knowing he intends to cut ties with the business, makes me feel a beautiful, melancholic hope for his future. Britt Westbourne, meanwhile, is getting a massive dose of tough love that she desperately needs. When Britt crosses paths with the newly arrived Dr. Tristan Roberts, the friction is immediate. I feel so incredibly energized by their scenes together because it proves that Britt is finally being challenged by someone who doesn't care about her Port Charles. When she gets that tough love from him, I love the way she squared her shoulders and fired back. It anchors her recovery to her inherent strength rather than her victimhood. I think the writer's choice to have them clash right out of the gate is brilliant because it makes me feel like Britt is finally going to rebuild her life on her own terms without waiting for Jason. Over at the Quartermaine mansion, Tracy Quartermaine is sitting in a courtroom granting a request that surprises everyone, and I am eating up every single second of her screen time. When Tracy asks, "What's the catch?" with that signature smirk, I felt a wave of pure adoration for Jane Elliott's performance. I believe this request is tied directly to Cody Bell, and watching Tracy soften just a fraction to help him makes me feel like the Quartermaine family dynamics are finally healing. The way I interpret it, Tracy granting this favor proves that beneath all her bluster, she fiercely protects the people who show genuine loyalty. I love the set design in that courtroom scene. The wood paneling and the stark lighting made Tracy look like absolute royalty holding court. Meanwhile, Nina Reeves is getting a wild idea that is going to complicate everything, especially as she and Jack Brennan continue their desperate search for the Black Cake. I think the chemistry between Nina and Brennan is absolutely scorching, and I feel a deep, thrilling suspense watching them plot together. When Brennan issues Anna a warning she can't ignore, and later delivers bad news right as Jason and Danny return, it anchors all these disparate storylines into one massive collision. I feel so incredibly invested in Brennan's machinations because he operates with a calm, terrifying precision. The way he looks at Nina when they are strategizing makes me believe that they are about to become the most dangerous power couple in Port Charles. Finally, we have Michael Corinthos being caught completely off guard and Alexis Davis comparing notes with him. I genuinely think we are missing the point if we underestimate Michael right now. Watching him and Alexis dissect the chaos unfolding around them makes me feel like the Legacy families are finally waking up to the threats in their own backyards. I love the quiet intensity of their conversation. It anchored Michael's ruthless streak to his desire to protect his family. This entire week of Port Charles drama proves exactly why I am so fiercely loyal to this show. Every single look, every single secret, and every single confession is driving these characters toward a breaking point, and I cannot wait to see who shatters first.